The highly anticipated movie series Infinity Castle is sure to be full of great moments and surprises that fill the spectrum of good to bad. I'm not here to rate those moments, but to tell you the 5 things I'm looking forward to, and am hoping those moments are done right. But I mean, come on, it's ufotable, right? These won't all be fights, but I know at least 2 of the fights included are most likely on everyone's list. Past this point there will be manga spoilers, so please be wary of that. And with all that out the way, let's look at the first thing on my wish list for Infinity Castle. Actually, before we hop into Zenitsu, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you and enjoy. We start by seeing the new master and head of the Ubashiki family, as well as his 2 younger sisters. One sister states, Zenitsu has bumped into upper 6, and the stage is set. This isn't the Zenitsu we have known him to be. The once cowardly swordsman now stands toe-to-toe with almost certain death, but more confident than ever before. If only Nezuko could see him like this. The true beast hiding under layers of cowardice and simpery, this is who Zenitsu is. Since getting that letter in the Hashira training arc, he steeled his resolve to be awake, push the greatest version of himself to the forefront. After all, he is not only facing the co-successor of Thunder Breathing, but the catalyst of his teacher's death. Because a user of Thunder Breathing and student of the older Thunder Hashira, Jigoro, switched sides and became a demon, he committed seppuku. An agonizing death bleeding out with no one there to end his suffering. This is what fuels Zenitsu. He mentions how pitiful it is that their teacher had to die with 2 inferior swordsmen as their successor. Zenitsu is willing to hold up half of the burden, acknowledging the fact he blames himself to some extent for it, while Kagaku shows no remorse and sticks to his selfish mindset. Kagaku hates being put into the same boat with Zenitsu, so he attacks, but it is Zenitsu who overwhelms him, the freshly appointed Upper Moon 6, or as Zenitsu basically calls him, the bench warmer of the Upper Moons. That is, since Gayatoro was defeated. And remember, this Kagaku character has been a little shitty person throughout the entire series of Demon Slayer. We get a flashback of him from season 1 of his treatment and how he talked to Zenitsu. And we also find out that he was one of the orphans, in fact, the orphan to blame for the tragedy that bestruck Guillaume's orphanage. He's always been selfish. Back to the fight, Zenitsu played a big part in defeating the original Upper Moon 6 and defeated the new Upper Moon 6 all by himself. He is the only Demon Slayer to defeat an Upper Moon by themselves, which is impressive, even with the statement from Yushiro after it was over that the defeated Upper Moon was still not accustomed to their abilities. Zenitsu put on a show to start the Infinity Castle, and remember, you are Jigoro's pride and joy. The demon who robbed us of our light. If his fight with Rengoku showed us anything about Akaza, it would take more than one to bring him down. So, which slayers have the task of quelling a tenacious foe who seeks the strong and despises the weak? It could be no one other than Tanjiro, who wants to get it back in blood. And he also has the Water Hashira with him, Giyu Tomioka. Although surprised at each other's improvements, it would deem those efforts not enough to slay the demon that presses them with only elite martial arts. Both of our slayers hit a new turning point as fighters with death bearing down on them. Tanjiro opens up the see-through world and Giyu unlocks the mark. This battle is one of constant struggle. Akaza proves to be too great to be taken down by the 2. So how do we get to this point of triumph? Well, let's rewind a bit. Now, as great as this fight is, this entry is not about the actual fight itself, although really good and solid all the way around, with an epic conclusion. It's more about the conclusion itself. It's handled beautifully. I think it's the best backstory in Demon Slayer. It has a very visceral way of kind of getting the point of Akaza across to you. I think what makes this backstory so great is the fact it touches on both sides of the spectrum of what is good or what is bad in the universe, but it pleases both sides of that though. The people of his past kind of holding him back, but not in a malicious way, but for his own good. He's becoming out of control. This isn't the person that they knew. Yes, he had to fight for everything in his life, and he was given a second chance, but that second chance was taken away from him by weaklings. Akaza decided to go out of this world on his own, as a demon, but standing on his human business. Akaza ended up reaching a level that not even Kokoshibo could, but he turned it away. And I think there's something so beautiful about that. We even see Kokoshibo's reaction to it. It's setting the tone for what's to come next. The number 3 entry, and that's the Hashira. One of the things I'm looking forward to the most in the Demon Slayer movies is how the Hashira are handled. I honestly believe all the Hashira were handled with pretty good care. I think the executions are good. I think their send-offs are really, really good. The Upper Moons are essentially Hashira level people that were just found by Muzan first before Ubuyashiki could find them. Or you could look at the Pillars as Upper Moon potential demons that were found by Ubuyashiki in their time of need. One was saved and one was dragged to hell. And just remember that I'm not going into super detail on each part. It's just kind of like what I'm looking forward to. Upper Moon 1 versus everyone. In this part, it's kind of a mix between what I selected the first entry and second entry for, whereas it's the best fight with a good backstory and a very important backstory. We get a lot of information through this fight about the mark and a number of other things. I actually want to do a whole video on this actual fight and look at the different parts that make up Kokoshibo as a character and why I think he's the best villain in the series. So I won't be spending a lot of time on this part. There's a multitude of things to like about this. Some of the choreography, the character moments within it, even though there's not a lot of building up of each support character, because Demon Slayer is not really a long story, but it has quality time to build the characters and shape them. We kind of understand why characters are the way they are. Kokoshibo is great throughout. We get to see the Red Blades in action. The Red Blades is something that I'm not very big on about Demon Slayer. It doesn't ruin it for me though. It's just a personal, subjective taste kind of thing. But that is a big part of the universe. And you get to see Gyome in his first real fight and Shinazugawa. Those are the two powerhouses. It took a lot to get rid of Upper Moon 1, but it couldn't have been done any other way. If it would have been any other 3, because I do think Muichiro is 3rd or 4th. I don't power scale anything like that, but we know his potential as a swordsman and his lineage proves he's meant to wield a sword. He's very impressive as well. And it's non-stop action going through this. So the movies are going to be very, very fun to watch. The last part. This is gonna shock you. The final entry is actually about Mitsuri and Iguro. The only relationship that I really cared about. the relationship that wasn't until it was. It's not about them trying to save one another and overcoming that way. It's about both of them accepting their duty. They put it on their shoulders and give it their all. And in the end, they get that moment of closure to know the person that they loved also loved them. It's a beautiful death. That's how I would say it. And that's all 5 things I am looking forward to. Tell me what you're looking forward to that you hope gets the special treatment or just the right treatment and they nail the execution of it. I'd like to know. Thanks for staying for the whole video. Stay normie, stay weeb. Shit, even in between is fine. Until next time. Peace.